First tonight at 11, Charleston County's Historic Preservation Commission has denied 42 new homes within the 10-mile historic district. Commissioners decided these houses would not be historically appropriate for the neighborhood. Our Kennedy Buck heard from neighbors who are relieved with this decision. Kennedy?
Katie, before the major vote in today's hearing, neighbors spoke strongly against the development, saying it could take away the historic character of the neighborhood. Many people say these proposals being denied is a big win for the community. The 10-mile community is designated as a historic district within Charleston County. Recently, new development proposals have been leading to more efforts to preserve the historic African-American neighborhood.
When you're building or attempting to build in a historic district, you need to be aware of what the area is like and take that into consideration in making your plans to build in that area so that it is consistent with the history and the historic district character.
Wednesday afternoon, Charleston County's Historic Preservation Commission denied 42 new single-family homes in 3 locations, deciding the houses are not historically appropriate for the neighborhood.
It's certainly a positive development for the community, we think, at large, because these certificates of historic appropriateness are necessary to continue.
Many neighbors made a point to share what the history of the community means to their family.
I've been living here since 1995 and have seen the tremendous changes in our community. I can't even sit on my porch anymore because they built a gas station across the street, and every time I sit, I am interrupted by the lights coming out the gas station.
Peggy Jenkins says this community has been a part of her family's history for generations and says these developments could ruin the place she calls home.
And I really feel that enough is enough. You cannot come and impinge on people's livelihood, people's communities, and just feel that we're not a part of it.
Even though this is a win for Jenkins and other neighbors, she hopes moving forward developers take the time to learn the area they plan to build on.
I'm concerned. Like I said, I hope you do the job. My grandparents would be, great-grandparents as well, great-great-grandparents as well, would be very disappointed in what's going on.
Even though these proposals have been denied by the commission, developers could possibly appeal the decision.
Simply insane in the nicest of ways. Good evening, I'm Scott Eisberg. Most like a challenge. That could be the understatement of the year for Mount Pleasant's Robert Harram. It's not the typical way to tell the story of a race, finish line before the start, but some moments worth breaking unwritten rules for.
We came through town and my son ran up to me and got a little emotional, not gonna lie, and have him see everything that I went through definitely brought out some tears in me.
That'll get anyone just sitting on your couch. Imagine what it felt like for Mount Pleasant's Robert Harram.
It took me 38 hours and about 55 minutes.
Are you sleeping at night when you do this?
You don't sleep. For this race, you have 48 hours to finish the race. And if you decide to take a 2 or 3 hour nap, then that's just less time that you're moving down the trail.
2 days he's waited for, dreamed of, heck, entered a lottery to get into for 8 straight years. He, a lucky one of 146 to start. So now that we're talking about the start, let him explain what he went through this past weekend in southern Colorado.
Is a 102-mile foot race in the San Juan Mountains. And it has 33,000 feet of climbing, 33,000 feet of descending with an average altitude of over 11,000 feet. Extremely rugged, technical single-track trails.
It's usually cliche to say over the mountains and through the woods. In this case, literal. If you add across a river and traversing a cave, you do it for yourself. You don't do it by yourself.
We all consider each other family.
Some things a guy from Mount Pleasant simply can't prepare for.
Ultimately, for the altitude, that was definitely my biggest hurdle to overcome for this race. I came out to Colorado on July 5th, which was about 9 days before the race, and tried to spend as much time up high as I could.
So we'll end where we started, at the end. What's next for you?
When December comes around, I'm going to put my name back in Hard Rock for next year.
Because some hugs you can't get too many of.
fish is considered an endangered species. Scientists here in the Lowcountry are working to save this type of sturgeon. News 4's Sonia Stevens tells us about the research being done at Bears Bluff National Fish Hatchery.
Off the beaten path and tucked away on Wadmalaw Island, you'll find biologists like Roman Crumpton. He's doing research to help protect various species in the Lowcountry, like the Atlantic sturgeon.
The Atlantics get massive, as you can tell. One of the largest fish in the world that enters fresh water.
Growing up to 200 pounds and living up to 80 years, impressive stats, but still an endangered species.
Habitat modifications, overfishing in the past. They were harvested much for their caviar and for their flesh. Pollution is a problem in some places.
They were first spawned in captivity at Bears Bluff in 2011.
We still have some of those fish on station, and they are being conditioned right now to spawn them as the first progeny.
Part of this research, finding the right conditions for the fish to spawn.
We are manipulating the temperature with the chillers, and that's all biofiltration over there. And what we're doing is we're keeping the water clean for the fish.
There are now at least 500 sturgeon in 15 tanks at the hatchery. Those numbers will increase when spawning starts in August.
They will pair up, and it looks like a WWE match in here. It gets crazy in here when they're spawning, and you come in the next morning and there's eggs in the tank, and we just start scooping eggs out.
They've successfully spawned every year, critical for the future of this fish population.
The research we do with Atlantic sturgeon all goes toward hopefully one day recovering that species, whether it's through stocking protocols or just learning about the biology of the fish and making management recommendations based upon that.
Various species of mussels, frogs, and plants are also being studied. But for us, the fish made the biggest splash.